Michelob Ultra Tuscan Orange Grapefruit. My God, America is imploding.
Hey, it's Fanzone debate. We started this tournament in January, 16 people every other week. Now we're weekly until the end of the tournament mayhem, and this has been a long road, but we're here because it's like July now by the time you're seeing this, but we're here. Semifinals of the tournament. We're down to the final four, and today we have the first match of that final four. We have Captain Pirate Bitch himself, Kaleb Koho, going up against Amaru Moses. Both kind of interesting stories to get here. Amaru got a bye in round one, then played Richard to make his way here. He won that match by KO, so that was a very impressive match. Kaleb Koho beating Ryan O'Regan in round one of the tournament, and then barely escaping the grasp of RJ in last round's match. Kind of one of my favorite lines ever created. If you fuck a Vulcan, you don't get a humpback whale. And so that was the best thing to come out of that match. It didn't even come out of Kaleb Koho's mouth, but it happened. So this will be an interesting match. Here with me to help judge it, Cody Newberry. How are you?
I just wish I could have like a video clip of you coming to Maggie and saying, "Hey, Maggie, I need you to be the third judge." No, I'm not doing that. And then that discussion ensued. But this match is going to be okay. I think that would have been way better to watch than this match. But yeah, I don't know what's going to happen here. Like, Amaru showed up last time and kicked Richard's teeth in, and Kaleb barely beat RJ. Like, it was really intense near the end. I think they both have the potential to tick each other off to a point that they both get flustered and they don't even know what the question is at that point. So I'm excited for these final two matches. Like, they're going to be massive, and I think then and then the title match. Yeah, I think we have the best four right now at the end. So we'll see what happens.
Can you please judge debate tonight with Cody and I? Sure. What time? 7. Okay. That was the conversation. Man. Maggie, welcome.
Good mood. There we go.
How are you, Maggie?
It would be great if my computer did not reject StreamYard. That would be nice. But that is not the case. So here we are. It looks like you're like having like coffee with me or something. This is tea though. It's almost gone, which is sad, but that is how it is.
That is how it is. Let's bring in the first competitor of the evening. We got Amaru. Amaru, like we said, you played Richard. You kind of destroyed him in that match. You're the lowest seeded player in the tournament, still at number 14. Kaleb Koho is the next highest at number 7. How are you feeling about your chances tonight?
Confident. I'm always confident in debate. I'm just really excited. I don't know how this is going to go, aside from being loud. I'm pretty sure we established that last time when I left that this was going to be a loud one. And the loudness and excitement meters are both at an all-time high. So I'm ready to go.
Awesome. All right, and we'll bring in the aforementioned pirate bitch. His name is Koho. Koho, you are the number 7 seed, as I said, and you're playing Amaru. You guys, I don't know if you've ever debated anywhere else, but it's the first time in Fanzone. Are you excited? How are you feeling?
Yeah, this will be fun. I don't come into any of these debates sort of like with an air that I'm going to win. I actually usually come in thinking that I'm going to go 0 for 4 on every question, but I do my best to try and at least win mine. This will be fun, and we'll see how it goes.
All right, sounds good. Well, this is how the show's going to work. There are 4 prep questions based off categories that the players drafted. Me and Cody gave them some questions. They're going to debate them. They each have 1 minute to open their argument, followed by a 5-minute free-form debate between the two of them, followed by a 1-minute closing for each player. At the end of the round, Cody, Maggie, and I will write on our handy-dandy boards who we think won the point. And obviously 2 out of 3 votes gets you the point. Whoever gets to 3 points first is the winner. So if we are tied after the 4 questions, we will move on to a speed round question. Before we get started, are there any questions from the competitors? All right, let's do this thing. All right, question number 1. I'm going to come to you from the category of directors. This was chosen by Mr. Kaleb Koho, and the question is, what is the most rewatchable Coen Brothers movie? So, Koho, you drafted this, so you get to go first. 1 minute when you start talking.
The Big Lebowski is the most rewatchable Coen Brothers film because it is the film that has the most interesting characters, the most likable and fun characters to hang out with, and they populate one of the most interesting, weird, funny stories that the Coen Brothers have ever created. It's this wild mystery that just keeps turning in ways that you don't expect or wouldn't think that they would go. But every time you watch it, you find something different within this movie to hold on to or see differently and enjoy. A bunch of different little characters and the way that they come into the story. And you think about their involvement in the movie, you can find a different little thing in everyone's performance, whether it's John Goodman or John Turturro or Jeff Bridges or Steve Buscemi. And everyone just brings their all to this. Sam Elliott's character is the one that I noticed the last time watching it, just his involvement and everything he brings to this story. It's a movie that every time you watch it, it's almost a totally new experience because you can find a different perspective to view. And it's just one of the most enjoyable stories that they've ever put to the screen.
All right, time. All right, we'll move over to Amaru. 1 minute when you start talking.
Just about every Coen Brothers film is absurd to the point where it either hits your sensibilities or it doesn't. And Oh Brother, Where Art Thou is the one that hits everybody, the most people's sensibilities, with great music, memorable quotes, great performances, a fun story. Every single person is likable, and you got a trio that are so different in personality that their dynamic is unpredictable and hilarious that you can't keep their eyes off of. And that same unpredictability is laced within the plot, where every new scene brings something you didn't expect. So you don't have time to get bored. You don't have time to get taken out of it, and the story is still cohesive. And it's so unpredictable to the point that you keep wanting to go back and figure out, what is it that I missed last time? I want to go back to these likable characters. I want to go back and sing this great music. I want to go back and see all the quotes, talk about I'm a Dapper Dan man, or who made you the leader of this here outfit. It's one you want to show other people so you can watch them watch it as you rewatch the film. And there's so many other little things that you want to find out more and more. Nothing hits more people when you want to watch more than Oh Brother.
All right, Big Lebowski versus Oh Brother. 5 minutes, no talking over each other. I'll come in and give you a 1 minute warning.
I think my big issue with why I don't think Oh Brother is the most rewatchable is because I don't really care about any of the characters. The story, you call it unpredictable, but I think the big issue with the movie is that it's the one Coen Brothers thing that's based on one of the most archetypal stories ever in the Odyssey. So everything that happens is predictable. It's the definition of the most predictable Coen Brothers movie. It's the one that holds your hand through everything. And all the characters just kind of exist in it. They don't do anything that are interesting. They're not characters that I typically gravitate to or enjoy. And sure, the music's good, but you can just listen to a soundtrack. You don't have to watch the movie for that.
From the very beginning, you have 3 completely different characters that maybe if you don't like one, you like the other, and they go at each other so much while still going through the story that you like either the cocky, talkative George Clooney or the dull but cute Delmar, and Pete in the middle, who always is going at one or the other. So if you don't like one, you like that the other is going after them, and you care about them from jump. And you cannot tell me you remember because you like how George Clooney talks. You like how Pete goes at one another, or you like how the fact that Delmar believes that one of his friends becomes a toad. You cannot tell me you remember everything from the Odyssey, and if you did, it's a loose adaptation. Every single time
it's an exact adaptation.
Every time something that comes new, you're just like, wait, who is this? Where does that come from? Half the people that you talk to don't know it's an adaptation of the Odyssey. It's about the fact that whether it's an adaptation or not, you like to go back. And if you did know it was an adaptation or not, you want to go back and see, okay, where did those connections come from? Everything you just said are the reasons why you want to go back to watch that film.
That's not at all true. It doesn't matter if you know it's an adaptation or not. It's one of the most archetypal stories. Even if you don't know what the Odyssey is, you recognize what it's doing. Nothing is unpredictable about this. The Toad thing is kind of dumb. It only makes me dislike that character more. There's nothing. You keep saying, "Oh, they go at each other," so I like that. No, I don't really like any of these characters, so I don't care when they're fighting. I don't have a reason to root for any of them. You say I do, and that's your only argument for why is that you say they do. But there is nothing in the movie that makes me gravitate to them. There's nothing in this plot that makes it unpredictable. There's nothing about this movie that makes me want to go back to it often and constantly. And if I want to rewatch a movie with someone, I'm certainly not going to take them to this one, which is one of the most boring Coen Brother movies.
Every single one of them is extremely charming. Every single side character is extremely charming, from Papio Daniels to Tommy. I had no idea there was going to be a Crossroads demon selling their soul to the devil. Not only I didn't know that Babyface Nelson was coming in, I didn't know that the devil was going to have a hound. Who in the world told me that they were going to make a KKK scene funny? The color guard is colored. Your movie, I hate Walter with a passion. He makes me feel like I don't want him to be around ever. And then you have other characters that you don't like, you don't hate. They're just neutral. Julianne Moore's character is there. Her flying through naked, I'm like, okay, what the fuck are we doing with that? Every time something new happens in your film, it's a throw your hands in the air like, wait a second. Why is this here? Well, every time an unpredictable thing happens in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, it fits the fact that your main three characters are that unpredictable. So you either love them or hate them, but just because you may hate them, you want to stick with them. You want to go back to them. You don't want to go back to The Big Lebowski, because not only does it not fit, the weirdness not fit the main likable character in the dude, the only person you really connect to, or one of the only people you connect to, dies at the end in an ending that has nothing to do with the rest of your plot. The main plot with the heist ends randomly with whatever her name coming back, and then another 15-20 minutes of killing off a character you love for absolutely no reason. I don't want to come back to any of that. I don't want to come back to Walter, and I don't want to come back and see my favorite character outside of the dude die for no reason.
Everything in The Big Lebowski has a reason. That's kind of part of the charm. Everything in the story fits together. That's why you go back to it so often, is to see how Maude fits in her way. You focus on every different character in a different way you watch it. You get something new out of it. You're basically watching a new movie every time. That's why it's a good movie. That's why it's fun. You love the dude. The chaos around the dude and the dude in the chaos is why The Big Lebowski is one of the most entertaining and rewatchable, because the dude is the most likable Coen Brother character, period, ever, end of sentence. And seeing him go through this weird, crazy, chaotic situation and his reactions to it is what makes that movie, the base plot, interesting. Donnie dying at the end does totally have a bearing. Sam Elliott literally wraps it up in the final monologue of saying, we lost a character and now there's new life for Maude and the dude. It's the symbiotic nature of The Big Lebowski story, which you would know if you'd watched it more than once. The Big Lebowski is a movie that takes multiple watches, and you love every single watch. You get something new out of it. Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? I don't like the characters, and you could say that I'm not supposed to like the characters, but at the end of the day, they're not people I want to be around because they're not interesting. I don't care about them. They're not funny, and the entire world around them is predictable and dumb, and I don't like it.
Don't like it. Strike from the record. Amaru, you get to close first. 1 minute when you start talking.
Why is Maude naked when she shows up? Why do we have naked people on a trampoline? Why is Sam Elliott there at the front and back? The nihilists are just annoying and unreasonable. Who was the private detective dude? A lot of questions came up in my first watch of The Big Lebowski that made me say, nah, I'm not going to watch that again, and I don't want to see my favorite character die. I don't care about symbiosis because there's a whole 15 minutes at the end that have nothing to do with the main crazy plot. Just like there's so many times in that film you're like, well, whatever. When it comes to Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, all that unpredictableness and chaos is cohesive and makes you want to quote everything again, makes you want to sing everything again. You gravitate to every single character, whether they're ones you're supposed to like or you're supposed to hate, because you have at least somebody that you like in that film, or the somebody you like goes at somebody you hate, and you are laughing the entire time. Yes, I saw The Big Lebowski once because I don't want to watch it again. I don't want to go through that again, while Oh Brother, I will watch over and over.
All right. Koho, you now have 1 minute when you start talking.
You have literally made my point in your argument. The Big Lebowski is the most rewatchable and the one that takes the most rewatches to enjoy it fully, because Maude coming in naked in the entire point of that, you would realize and understand that entire introduction to that character sets up who she is on the second watch. The nihilists are stupid and for a reason. They're part of the comedic relief. All your issues are answered when you watch this movie over and over and look at it from a different aspect than the one you watched the first time. It's a movie that leads to being a new movie and a new experience every time, and that's why you keep coming back to it, especially because the center character, the dude, is so fun and so enjoyable, and watching him go through it and understand the same questions you have on every watch is entertaining. You are in the same place as your lead character, and you like the dude. Nothing in Oh Brother Where Art Thou was interesting. Those characters don't matter to me. They don't have good chemistry. They don't have a reason for being there, and all the weirdness around it. You say it's cohesive to the plot, but it really isn't. None of it makes sense in a way that is meaningful. None of it comes together in the end. The flood at the end has no bearing on the rest of the plot. If you're going to nitpick mine for things that don't matter, yours makes no more sense than mine.
Time. All righty. Oh boy, as they say. Oh, man. Okay. You guys need a second still? As you're both muted.
Yes. But now I'm done.
No, I'm good.
Okay. All right. I'll go first. This is actually close for me to think about this a little bit. But in the end, I'm going to give it to Kaleb. I think his takedown of Oh Brother was a little his takedown mixed with his defense of Big Lebowski, I think, was stronger than Amaru's defense on Oh Brother. So I give it to Kaleb. But Cody, where are you going?
So I took this at a different angle. I don't think because you need to unpack the story makes it the most rewatchable. That makes it confusing to me. And I think Amaru handled that, and Koho used all that at the end of it and did not actually get Amaru's chance to rebut that. So I call that keeping something in your vest, and that's a cheap move in my book. So Amaru gets my point because he battled well through the 5 minutes.
Awesome. All right, Maggie, it's up to you. Where are you going? Why?
That's so sad. I picked Koho because I thought that his closing was very strong, and I totally disagree with Cody. I thought that he did a great job in sort of explaining why it was rewatchable, where Amaru got kind of sidetracked on trying to tear down Koho's film, and Koho was able to sort of respond, I thought, in a very strong way. So that's why I went with him.
All right. The Brzakala is disagreeing with the Newberries. I am shocked. It's never happened before. All right, so we are going to move on to question number 2. It's in the category of the Wizarding World. The question is as follows. If I can find it, there it is. The question is, what is the best scene in a Harry Potter movie that Harry Potter isn't the lead of? We are going to start with Amaru as he drafted this. You have 1 minute when you start talking.
The best scene without Harry as the lead also might be the best scene in the entirety of the series. It's Dumbledore deaths at the Astronomy Tower, because absolutely every single person brings it. You start off with Tom Felton trying to hold on to the tough guy demeanor that Draco has, but when you look at his face and he says, "I have to do this," you see the pain. It's the best scene acting in the film. Gambon trying to hold on to Dumbledore's cool and demeanor while talking to Draco, while you can still physically see he's in pain and desperate. Helena Bonham Carter knows how serious the scene is, so she doesn't come in with batshit Bella. She comes in with subtle crazy Bellatrix. And then the master, Alan Rickman, comes up and raises the bar for everyone with no more than 3 words. He comes in, and then that back and forth with Dumbledore happens. The score cuts out. Dumbledore says Severus no. And then Rickman, with all the emotion in his face, says Avada Kedavra, with the most iconic scene you can possibly think of. Dumbledore falling from the tower happening right after that. And when you get to see all of this from Harry's perspective every once in a while, it just makes it more intense, more heartbreaking. The score is perfect, and everyone is at the top of their game.
All right. Mr. Koho, you now have 1 minute when you start talking.
I argue my scene has Alan Rickman, the master, crushing it with no lines. Snape's pensive memories of the Deathly Hallows Part 2 is the scene for me that is one of the best, not just the best scene in Harry Potter, but the best scene in one of the best scenes in recent film history. How it, with no dialogue from the characters in that scene, recreating an entire history that we never saw, giving you an entire character's arc that could be its own franchise in the matter of minutes, making you fall in love with characters and fall in love with a guy that we've hated for 7 and 8 movies consistently. Finally get this full redemption where you realize you understand his motivations, his fears, his loves, and his hopes and dreams. You fall in love with the character in the span of 8 minutes, right as we lose him. And I think that is one of the most powerful pieces of filmmaking in the entire series. Every single moment that we see through Snape's life, and you understand now why he does everything. You understand his motivations through the entire franchise, and you fall in love with his character, and you have to say goodbye just as you understood who he is. The Pensive Memories, best scene in Harry Potter.
All right, 5 minutes when one of you starts talking.
So my big issue with your scene is that it is way too short. It happens, blink and you miss it. So I don't even notice any of the details you're talking about because they don't like give us a second to live in that moment, because it's like, oh, he walks in, Avada Kedavra, boom, dead, falls off the tower. And the repercussions of that scene is what I feel more connected to and understand better and feel like have more weight to the series and are better than the actual moment itself.
Alan Rickman has the most pauses of any person to ever be on screen. He walks out extremely slowly. The conversation between him and Draco takes forever. It's a slow-mo shot of Dumbledore falling. And after all of that intensity and your heart is broken, your emotions are even put even further. Yes, the repercussions after, because afterwards, Bella has the most guttural scream of the Dark Mark in the tower, at the tower, that's never happened at the top of Hogwarts, that makes you hate and love the scene more. Mine is intense and slowly placed, and the score is perfect, while your scene is a compilation. It's a compilation breaking into thirds. The first third is basically a scene that needs to use the audios and visuals of past scenes to lift it up. The second third is nothing but child actors not being great because they're child actors. And your third and best third of the Pensieve Memories is when Alan Rickman and Gambon get to do something new, and you said they don't talk. It's an entire exposition of how Harry is the last Horcrux. They do nothing but talking, and that's not the worst part. The worst part is the best part of your compilation series. You don't get to get into it because you're taking out from the beginning with young Snape looking like a white Michael Jackson. The CGI is horrible, and anytime you want to get into their actually great exposition of talking, you look at Snape and you say, what happened with that CGI? I see him AI stepping over James Potter's dead body, and all I can think of is hee, because it's that bad. It's that bad.
I completely disagree on the visual effects. I think that the raw emotion that comes from this scene that recontextualizes this character's entire history for us that we had no idea. Snape is literally the most hated character in the franchise up to this point. My scene actually completely destroys your scene because your scene means nothing in the long run of the franchise when we get to my scene showing that it was the right thing to do. All the emotion and weight of your scene is destroyed because my scene completely changes who Snape is for the better. My scene makes your scene obsolete for the better, because what we do with mine is make Snape a character that we actually love, and we do it in a really short amount of time. You can say that yours is, oh, he takes real long pauses and a great child actor. I'm looking at the scene and I'm watching the scene and I take all the emotion out of it, and that's what I feel. I feel nothing from your scene. It's cold, it's relentless, it just goes and it's over. And my scene actually completely removes your scene from even needing to happen emotionally in the arc of the series.
The entire back and forth between him and Dumbledore, where he says, Severus, please, all of that in 2 words makes you think, okay, wait a second. Why is he saying please? Is he trying to tell him to kill him? Is he trying to tell him not to kill him? It makes
what you only get from watching my scene.
No, you don't get that from watching the scene.
Yes, you do.
From the beginning, he says, I need Severus. Go get me Severus. He's the one. Nobody else. So you know they had that connection.
But you don't know that.
The whole point is he has to know that because Dumbledore is the most trusted character. With your scene, your one, you say mine is too short, yours is too long because you're talking about a third of the scene and wasting away the other 2/3. And you are telling me that Snape becomes more likable, except for the fact that him not caring for Harry makes him more dislikable because it's all about his selfish need for his mother. But that's not the point. The scene itself is 1/3 of your entire scene, is the only great part, and you can't get into it because the CGI is so horrible. Every second of my scene is emotional. It has weight. One of the key characters die, and it makes you question what was happening up until that point.
What's happened up to that point is my fucking scene. My entire scene changes the way yours works. When we watch yours, you're like, oh, please. You said Severus, please. And you think, please, begging for my life. Watching mine, it's him knowing that he has to kill Dumbledore in order to save everyone. My scene changes what your scene's weight is and makes your scene literally a different scene. The scene you picked is half-baked. It's not even at its full emotional potential. My scene makes yours better. My scene makes the entire saga better because it adds totally new context and depth to a character that was just a shallow prick for 8 movies. And now this scene, you can say 2/3 of it suck, but those 2/3 are essential to building up to that 1/3 that you love. That entire scene is changing the way that you look at this one guy through 8 movies. And you can say the CGI sucks, but I think that your CGI in your scene fails without mine.
Time. All right. We're going to start with Koho. You have 1 minute when you start talking.
He made my point for me again by saying, Severus, please. That entire line is on one look in his meaningless. It's begging for your life. But my scene and my entire character development in my one scene changes his scene and the context of the franchise through and through. My one scene makes the entire saga of Harry Potter so much more rich, adult, depth, and interesting and different than what we've had is just this kid's franchise of this guy going through this arc of I'm trying to kill a noseless man for 8 movies. This one scene takes this one guy who has been there through all of it, and you thought he was an asshole, and you realize that he's actually maybe the most interesting character because we've never given him a chance to explain his story, and right as he's about to die, we figure it all out, and we figure out the last piece of the puzzle, and it destroys you. The way he cares for Lily is emotional, and it's sad, and it's beautiful, and how he looks at Harry and says, you have your mother's eyes, is a beautiful moment. That scene is the most beautiful in the Harry Potter series and changes yours.
Time. All right, move over to Amaru. You have 1 minute to close when you start talking.
You can't use Lily's eyes in that scene because that's not a part of the pensive memories. But even then, getting to the point that Koho wants to talk about, you need to get through everything else before you get to even that great exposition between the two to be able to enjoy that scene. And you can't enjoy that scene because your mind is so focused on the fact that Snape does not look like himself that you want to get into it, but then you're taken out of it. And for 7 movies, you've had a character arc of a character in Snape with his relationship with Dumbledore from the 4th, the 5th, the 6th, all the way up until that scene. You know him and Dumbledore already have that type of complicated relationship where you think you may not like that man, but Dumbledore trusts him. So it's not a, oh, please let me beg for my life. You know that relationship is more complicated than that by the time you get there. So all of the emotion in my scene, from the great acting, the amazing score, the great shots, and the emotion and almost no words, is palpable.
All righty.
That one got loud. There we go.
Yeah, I love it when someone's watching backstage and they said I had to leave because it got loud.
Right.
So that's how this goes. Maggie, you there?
Yeah, sorry.
You get to start.
That's sad. All right. I thought this was really good. It's funny that the 2 scenes were interlinked and you guys got really hung up on that. But I'm gonna go with Amaru. I thought that he did a really good job of I thought his opening was great, explaining the importance of his scene and why it's great. And then he had really, really strong offense. defense? I don't know. Something where he was attacking Koho, and I liked it. I think that he did a really good job of offense. Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought he did a really good job of tearing down Koho's scene, and I also appreciated that he called Koho out on being incorrect twice on the logistics of the scene. So yeah, I'm going with Amaru.
Okay, I'm also going to Amaru. Basically the same reasons that Maggie said, calling him out on things incorrect about the scene that you picked, and then also he kind of backed him into a corner with these parts of your scene aren't great, and Ko was like, sure, they're not great, but this part is, and it's like, well, then how is it the best scene if parts of it aren't great? So that's why I went with Amaru. Cody, your vote doesn't count. Where would you have gone?
I'm really concerned of Koho's wall right now and the amount of shit he threw at the wall, hoping something would stick. I have never wanted to jump in a fight more in my entire life. Why he argued my favorite Harry Potter film as quick and not having any points, but Amaru did that for me, so I appreciate that. Yeah, I just think Amaru's attack was just so strong overall. I think Koho thought he had him when Amaru started admitting some stuff was correct. But then he was able to fact correct. And Koho said the most beautiful scene 3 times in the same thing. And if it's the most beautiful the first time, it can't be the most beautiful the second and third time. So, incorrect, sorry.
And just to be clear, when he was attacking him, it was the offense, correct?
Correct. Well, okay. Rogers throwing the ball.
Yes.
Rogers throwing the ball.
You're not defending yourself. Okay. So we're going to move on to question number 3. This is in the category of DreamWorks animation. And the question is, what DreamWorks animated film that hasn't gotten a sequel yet should get one? So we are going to start with Mr. Koho as he drafted this. You have 1 minute to open your argument when you start talking.
One of DreamWorks' most cult classic beloved movies that they've had in the last couple of years that you'll find a lot of people really enjoy is Megamind. Megamind is a film that really gave us a lot of interesting characters and a lot of interesting dynamics by taking that idea of the Superman Lex Luthor relationship and then completely inverting it and changing it and subverting it. And there was a lot of places that they could have gone to take that. You could have done a lot of things now that Megamind's a hero. What happens when he gets to the Metro Man position and wants to be done? What happens to that legacy? What happens when he is still an untrustworthy character, but he's been now tasked with defending the entire city? There's a lot of things you can do with the Megamind character and the Roxanne Ritchie characters and that entire fun world that they've built, that you can explore so many different ideas and play with different tropes within the superhero genre that can comment on, classic comic book dynamics and comic book arcs and stuff. And you could have done so many different fun things within Megamind that were interesting and subversive and all the while funny and entertaining, because all the jokes in Megamind work. It's a very entertaining, very funny film, and I think a ton of sequels could have continued that legacy on for another decade.
Right. And going off the rails on a crazy train, sir. All right, you're Amaru. You have 1 minute to open when you start talking.
DreamWorks has a lot of franchises with properties with some of the best animated sequels around, and those animated sequels are so great because they don't have constraints. Shrek is in a fairy tale world, so they can pull from as many different fairy tale characters as they want. Kung Fu Panda is the animal kingdom. They can create any type of animals and things moving forward. That's why those sequels are great. How to Train Your Dragon. More dragons, more people wanting to do dragons. They can continue to build and build and build. But the place that DreamWorks has not gone for a second time, that has absolutely zero constraints, is monsters versus aliens. You have the ability to create any unique monster you want to join the team. They had a giant woman, a cockroach doctor, and an insect that is a damn near a dinosaur. You can go anywhere you want with that. But even more, you can make the sequel monsters versus anything. Monsters versus machines, monsters versus humans, monsters versus kaiju. You want to subvert something, subvert the superhero genre right now. Monsters versus superheroes, nothing else is better.
All right. I like both these movies a lot, so I'm very excited. 5 minute freeform when one of you starts talking.
There is exactly one place.
And we don't want to see it again. Megamind is the ultimate singular villain's redemption story. It's constrained by the fact that there isn't many places to go because you don't need to have him go to a villain again. You don't want to retrace the same steps, and you don't want to see something that Despicable Me tried to do and didn't do well. Sure, you can try to say we can do it better, but why do that when you have an entire world with nothing holding you back, that you can actually take the time to make any story you want with any unique characters, build on already a stacked cast to bring better people in? Why try to do something that was done already and failed when you have an absolute blank canvas on a great foundation to build from?
Megamind is a blank canvas. You have an entire open world of different cities, different superheroes, different super villains to play with. You can create anything you want. You can make fun of all the different superheroes you want. You want to do a Batman-Joker relationship, as Megamind now has to view that. You can do literally anything you want with the world of superheroes as you want. Megamind is an open blank canvas. What isn't an open blank canvas? Also, ours, if we're going to do StatCast for a second, mine equal. But you know what isn't? You know, it isn't a blank canvas, Monsters vs. Aliens, because every movie you do is the same movie. Every movie you do is going to be the same. We're monsters, and now we're going to fight this thing, whether it's an alien or a machine. It's going to end up being the same 3-act structure, the same, oh, we lost in the second act, and now we got to get a new monster that can help us fight this one thing. The one movie worked once. It's a one-trick pony. I don't need to see them fight kaiju. I don't need to see them fight anything else, because it's going to be the same thing as fighting the aliens over and over and over, and I have no interest in seeing that, especially because Ginormica's arc is over. And every other character is not interesting enough to then push their own arc forward to make that story more interesting. Megamind and all the supporting characters, and the more you could create, could definitely sustain many sequels.
Sure, go to new cities, go to new superheroes, go do all of that, but Megamind is your central character, and it's called Megamind. You need to stick with him. What are you going to do different with him that we have not seen already?
I already told you.
What? Try to make him a hero? We did that in
He's already a hero.
We did that in this. Why are we going to do that again?
They're not the same at all. One's spies, one's heroes. What I'm saying is Megamind as a hero and an untrustworthy hero is absolutely something you could do, especially now when he enters a giant, bigger community of superheroes. So that is an interesting idea to do for a sequel.
Didn't they bring in a whole new a government agency to work with the unreliable hero in Gru? But anyway, you want to talk about how
that sounds like Monsters vs. Aliens too.
Monsters vs. Aliens can't do that. Well, okay, well let's look at another amazing franchise that is kind of the same 3-act structure, but they do different things and make it wonderful, and then subvert it later, called the MCU. So how about we kill somebody off from the original cast? How about they lose one of them versus them, and you need to make
that already.
Monsters versus Kaiju 2. How about it's a blank canvas? It's a blank canvas that we can look at another franchise and say, hey, let's look at these characters. Hey, let's look at these characters. You're not constrained to the title character who has nothing new to offer. Yes, you are.
You're constrained to the monsters. You have to keep those monsters and everything. And none of them need to come back. You already killed one of them. You killed Insectosaurus. You don't need to kill a new character from your original cast in every movie, because then you're doing the same movie again. Beat for beat, just putting a new skin on it.
They flew off
as a butterfly. I'm just saying. What I'm telling you right now is you're pitching me, let's just reskin the first movie and do it over and over and over, but put a different title on it. And that's all you want to do. Reskin it with new villains. What I'm pitching you is literally Shrek for the superhero world. You literally have Megamind, an out of place, untrustworthy character entering the world. Do Shrek 2 with Megamind. He's already untrustworthy in his own community. Now add him to a larger world of other people like him and have him see what he has to do in that world. Megamind is built to continue the path of Shrek. Yours is not. Yours is just reskinning the same movie and over and over and over again.
It can't be reskinning the same movie when you have completely different characters with completely different motivations. Then
why is it a sequel?
Because it's in the Monsters versus Universe, Monsters versus whatever universe. Why does Godzilla keep getting new sequels when we're going the same thing? They're still sequels because we're still in the same world. You get new monsters, you get any monster that you want, and you create a brand new story for people to follow that you want to continue to see again and again and again, because it's something new. We don't know. Why do we want to travel Shrek's path again? Why do we want to travel Gru's path again?
Because it made $1 billion.
Monsters vs. Aliens made more money at the box office than Megamind. So we both have the same type of cult.
But yours has no way. Yours has no idea to keep it going in an interesting, different way. You want to recast the entire movie. Mine can keep the same character and go forward.
Build a team. Make new. Nothing but new. Strike but new from the thing, so Tim doesn't have to say it.
We're gonna start with Amaru. This is great. 1 minute when you start talking.
Look, here's the deal. DreamWorks knows how to make sequels, and their best sequels are when there are open worlds. There are open worlds with characters you like, and Monsters vs. Aliens has a bunch of characters you like that not only you can follow, but you can add on to the dynamic. You can take off the dynamic. You can branch out into new worlds. You can create completely new villains. So it's a sequel, but feels like a brand new movie, where in Megamind, you have to stick to the title character. It's called Megamind. You can't go away from anything else but Megamind. And what are you going to do? Try to make him a villain again? Try to see how he's doing as a hero? Trying to figure out the conflict in between that? We've seen it. We've seen it before. And you don't really have that big of a world that you can see as big of a world as anywhere else to build his character more than what we've seen before. Monsters vs. Aliens has no constraints. Megamind has the biggest.
Time. All right. Koho, 1 minute when you start talking.
Amaru has literally said it in the argument. He wants to take out the monsters we know and put in new monsters and then throw them in a different thing and reskin the movie. That's not a sequel. At this point, he just wants to keep repackaging the first movie with new characters and different things to fight. And at that point, I'm not interested. If it's not those characters, who cares? I am pitching you a Megamind sequel with Megamind in it. There is an open world. Shrek literally has Shrek 2, where he goes to a new city and a new world and meets all sorts of new characters. Do it with Megamind. Megamind is a character that's complex and interesting, where a world doesn't trust a villain who's become a hero. And now what about the superhero community around him when they try to introduce that? You could do so many things and inject so much life and humor into the superhero genre with an animated Megamind franchise. There's more world to do with continuing a plot line with Megamind. There's way more you could do with that character on an emotional level, on a developmental level, by expanding outside his universe and letting him introduce new worlds and new cities and new characters. Monsters vs. Aliens is just going to be the same movie with a new skin on it, with a new fucking kaiju to fight. I'm not interested, especially if you take out the original monsters like Amaru said.
Time. Oh, man. That was... Oh, boy.
I have a thing that I would call that fight.
Yeah?
A person that's terrified of Chris Tucker.
Yeah, Marway's scared.
Cody, you get to start.
Yeah, so there's a person that realizes that they lost this question, and I think where he thinks, like, you go for Chris Tucker's coming, so Koho threw all caution to the wind and was going for the jugular in this one. I think they both pitched bad movies. And I'm being honest with you, I don't want to see either one of these movies, but that's fair. I went with Koho. I hate both these movies equally, probably. I don't dislike it. I just think how he was able to pitch it, and I think his closing was super strong, even if maybe Amaru wasn't pitching exactly what he was saying, he made it very convincing and let everybody else buy his bullshit. So, points to Koho for that one.
Maggie, you get to go next. Macaw.
So I agree with Cody that Koho's closing was very strong, but I think that overall Amaru had the better argument, stronger arguments. I really liked his points about when Koho was throwing the 3-act structure at him and he brought up the MCU, and I like the idea. I like the idea that he pitched with everything really being open. Koho just assumed that the other characters aren't going to be there, and that doesn't necessarily have to be true. I think that Amaru did a good job of, providing good examples of where the story could go for several sequels, not just one or two, and get boring.
I swear me and Maggie are friends. I swear.
Okay, so to me, wow, I went with Amaru. Honestly, because I thought there were moments where, once again, Koho said things that Amaru was able to point out and be like, no, that's wrong. This didn't happen. I thought that his takedown of a Megamind sequel of we've seen it already and it hasn't worked, and what you're pitching doesn't sound interesting. They did it in the first one. They've tried it in other franchises. And his points of the MCU and Godzilla and stuff kind of as like a prototype of what they could do with Monsters. That worked a lot for me. Again, I did think his closing was really strong, and I almost went for it based on that. But there was, again, stuff that he said in it that I never heard Amaru say, so I couldn't really go with him on that. Amaru gets that point. It's now 2-1 in favor of Amaru as we get into the final question of the prep round, which is in the category of actors and actresses. The question is... Oh, this was drafted by Amaru. I'm sorry. This question is, what is the best post-1995 Chris Tucker film or performance? I forget already. Performance, thank you. I just wrote film, but I thought that was wrong. So I'll say it again. Best post-1995 Chris Tucker performance. So Amaru, you get to go first. You have 1 minute when you start talking.
I have this hot take that the best 90s run of movies is Chris Tucker. From Friday and Rush Hour, he kills it in the buddy cop or as the comedic relief for a juxtaposed character. In Dead Presidents, he had some great dramedy work. He has a small part in a great Tarantino film. And all of those just showed parts of his range of uniquely comedic talents. His absolute best post-95 role was smack in the middle of all of that, where he showed he can carry a film as the star who has sidekicks to balance him out instead of the other way around. It shows why he's one of the best. He was one of the best comedic actors of the day in the 90s, and that is Money Talks. From his comedy with music, his facial expressions, his hilarious screams, great one-liners, his gift of gab, his incredible improv skills, his overall charm. Money Talks is the movie that proved he can be put alongside one of the most famous martial art actors in the entire world and hold his own. It showed his comedic prowess, but that also, not only his comedic prowess, but that he thrives in action comedy. This is the fullest feature where he is front and center on the poster and delivers everything you want to see from him. All of his other roles, he enhances the co-stars. This one is where everyone else is enhanced by him.
All right. Mr. Koho, you now have 1 minute when you start talking.
I have no idea what actor we're watching if we say Chris Tucker can carry a movie, because Money Talks fails because he's the lead. That actor has nothing but an 11 of annoying comedy, annoying voices, annoying screams, and is the most unbearable actor of the 90s. But Quentin Tarantino takes one of the most unlikable comedic actors I've ever seen and puts him in a role where he can actually act and show a lot of subtlety, something that Chris Tucker doesn't show in any movie except for Jackie Brown, where Chris Tucker plays this guy that Samuel Jackson OD comes to see at a hotel, and all Chris Tucker shows you is just this elation of joy, but it's a subdued joy of seeing someone that he knows he could save him, which turns to subdued fear when he talks about the situation he is in, this restraint, and then they go with each other, and he gets whacked. And that entire moment with Chris Tucker and Samuel Jackson shows that Chris Tucker, who is out acting Samuel Jackson in the scene, can act. He has it in him when a great director pulls it out of him. Chris Tucker in this scene is able to show so much range, from fear to elation to serenity to so many emotions that he doesn't restrain. It doesn't have to scream with a loud, annoying voice to show it.
Time. All right, 5 minutes. When one of you starts.
Two things, and I'm going to call the first one out. That comedy ain't for you, bruh, because comedy is objective. And if that comedy ain't for you, it might be annoying to you, but it ain't annoying for me, and it ain't annoying for a lot of people because he kept getting those movies, kept getting a lot of them. Second, you're confusing the best movie with a role that he has with his best performance. This is 8 minutes of Chris Tucker reacting to Sam Jackson. There are three versions of Chris Tucker in this, and I can play it exactly. Hey, man, how you doing, man? What's going on, man? Oh, that's good, man. Second, I ain't getting in that goddamn truck, man. What you doing? What the fuck is wrong with you, man? How you doing, man? Third, all right, man, I'll get in the truck, man. What you need me to do? And that's it. 8 minutes of him not acting.
You've never watched Jackie Brown. I'll tell you right now, you've never watched Jackie Brown.
The exact 8 minutes of that scene of Chris Tucker, period.
Chris Tucker in that one scene is showing more acting range than he's ever shown in 40 years of acting. Chris Tucker is not screaming, but he's making you scared, just like he is scared. He is doing it all without screaming like a child. He's literally yelling in every other role he does. That's his gimmick. He has one gimmick and he does it in every movie. Money Talks is no different from Friday in his performance. He's doing the same thing. It's big, loud voices. Let me scream like this. Let me be annoying like this. And that's all he does in every movie. But in Jackie Brown, he's able to pull that all back a little bit and show some humanity and some depth as being a human and not a cartoon. And that's the only movie where he's given that performance in. So therefore, best performance, because he shows that he can be an actor and a human instead of a cartoon like he's in Money Talks.
We're not talking about his acting skills. We're talking about
his best performance.
And what you want from Chris Tucker is a comedic performance. And it's comedy is what characters. That's how he performs. You want to talk about that, the fact that he's scared in Jackie Brown? The entire time, the 6 out of the 8 minutes of his movie, he's arguing with Sam Jackson about not getting in the trunk. He's only scared when he's in the trunk, and you only hear him screaming.
No, he's not.
The range you see from Chris Tucker is what you see from Money Talks. 1, he has great one-liners. I had to kick your ass in the head. 2, yes, he screams, but he does that well. 3, his dancing and his singing, where the first opening scene is my first, my last, my everything, and he brings it back later in the scene where he's in the mansion. Also, he is one of the most iconic bits in the black community with Vic Damone Jr. Every black person I know knows Vic Damone because Vic Damone Jr. used to hang out with Sammy Davis Jr. because he can subtly, with the gift of gab, without screaming, out-talk you, out one-line you.
Then why is he screaming through all the Money Talks?
But on top, he's not screaming through.
He is.
On top of that,
he's literally on the bus.
Action.
He's on the bus. Action. He is on the bus in an orange jumpsuit doing nothing but scream talk into this guy. He only has one dial in every movie. He has one-liners that are stupid funny in every movie. This isn't best comedic performance by him. It's best performance. So we are talking about his acting chops. And Jackie Brown's the only movie where he shows it. He is Chris Tucker, the personality in every movie he has ever been in. But in Jackie Brown, he shows fear when he talks about, oh, they're really going to get me on the machine gun charge. It sounds like the real. And Samuel Jackson has to talk him down and lull him into that sense of security. But you can see him not buying into it. You say it's 6 minutes. You've never seen Jackie Brown. It's like 2.5 minutes where he's like, I'm not getting in the car. And it's not even yelling. It's, I'm not getting in the car, man. I'm not getting in the car. It's quiet, subdued sincerity until he gets put in the car. And he does it. He screams once when he gets put in the car. And then they drive and then he gets shot. And that's it. In that entire scene, he shows more humanity and depth where he talks about the gun charges, his family needing him being happy to see Samuel Jackson. He shows all of this in restraint and depth with just a couple of lines, making him one of the most memorable parts of Jackie Brown with some of the best acting in his entire career. In every other movie he's ever been in, what you're talking about, The Gift of Gab, he's done it a million times. So why is Money Talks any different from any other movie he's ever done? It's not. It's a caricature dialed up to 11 that does nothing different and nothing new in that one performance that I can't find in any other Chris Tucker movie ever. Jackie Brown, I can only find that performance from Chris Tucker, and that's why it's his best.
I watched this scene maybe about 4 or 5 times, and in those 8 minutes, I could see the little things where he's trying not to smile. I can see him take little glances at the camera where he's trying to make sure he's doing everything right. He's reacting to Sam Jackson, and it's literally, I acted out Chris Tucker in those 8 minutes, and I did it pretty damn well. When it comes to Money Talks, you say I haven't seen that scene. You haven't seen this movie.
I've watched your scenes.
The entire beginning is him singing and him dancing. He doesn't scream in the entire time. He's having the interview with Charlie Sheen at the beginning of the film. Anytime he talks to Roland, there's no screaming. There's fast talking and charm. In the entire auction scene, he doesn't speak. Everything is physical comedy in the entire auction scene. And again, not only does he do this with comedy, but he does it with action, where the entire last 30 minutes is an amazing action scene when you get 3, 4, 5 gangs into
his stunt double was great.
The Coliseum, and he's controlling everybody with his
stunt
charm.
double was great.
That's what Chris Tucker does.
All right, Koho, you have 1 minute to close your argument when you start talking.
Amaru didn't answer me. There's nothing special in Money Talks that he does that I can't see in anything else, that I can't see in the Friday films, that I can't see in any other movie, and that's because there isn't anything. His gift of gab is also non-existent, but he talks really fast in every movie he ever does. He yells at a high-pitched scream in every movie he's ever done that is labeled comedy. Chris Tucker is not a special talent. He's a caricature, a personality of himself, especially in the run that Amaru has picked, except for Jackie Brown. And Jackie Brown, he can say, oh, I can act that out. No, you really can't, because you didn't do it and you haven't described the scene correctly in the entire run of this fight. Because in this scene and in this fight, Chris Tucker is a human instead of a caricature that he's been in every fucking comedic performance he's ever given in his entire career. And that's the facts. There's nothing in Money Talks. You can say singing and dancing, but guess what? Most actors can sing and dance when you're in Hollywood. I'm sorry, you're in Hollywood, you're in show business. His stunt double did really good in the action scenes, but as an actor in a performance, which we are arguing, he is not doing anything special in Money Talks that he hasn't done in every other movie he's ever done, except for Jackie Brown, where he's actually giving a restrained, subdued, human performance.
Time. All right. Amaru, 1 minute when you start talking.
In the 8 minutes of Jackie Brown, he's trying to give a subdued performance, but you can tell when you look at it, he doesn't know how to do that. He doesn't know how to give that much drama when he has somebody to go off of as big as Samuel L. Jackson. He's looking at him and he's trying to react to what to do. And then everything is, yeah, man, I ain't doing that, man. What the fuck you talking about, man? Get me out of this trunk, man. It's really him trying to hold his own and letting Samuel L. Jackson carry him. He is a comedic actor, and his performances are greatest when you can see the range of his comedy. Yes, he screams, but that's because he's good at it. But he also has the physical comedy. He also has the comedy he does with music and brings it back. He has the one-liners. He has the best ability to out-talk anybody at any point. He has so many different ranges of comedic styles that apparently that made his best performance because Brett Ratner brought him back for Rush Hour. He continuously gets put in movies to do what he does best, and Money Talks is the only one that lets you see the entire range of his best comedic performance, which is his best performance because he does that well. He doesn't act in Jackie Brown.
Woof. Oh, man. All right, Maggie, are you good? Okay.
I said yeah.
I heard so I'll start. I'm going with Amaru. I think Koho actually did a really good job. Like, he was throwing out a lot of shit that I've seen Jackie Brown. I've seen it once. I've never seen Money Talks. But he was throwing out a lot of stuff that I was actually vibing with, but Amaru was just able to tear most of it down and then talk about why his performance in Money Talks worked so well for him and what he's good at. So I give it to Amaru. Cody, you get to go next.
I think Amaru is a fan of Chris Tucker. And what I mean by that, he knows his movies inside and out. I think Koho will not be upset that he lost the Chris Tucker question. I think he'll be upset that he lost the Megamind question. But I went with Amaru because overall I think he basically broke down Koho's scene. And even if Koho can say, that's not my scene, when you do the impersonation, and I've seen Jackie Brown, pretty beat for beat, I have to go with the person that said it. So,
yeah. Maggie, your vote doesn't count, but where would you have gone?
I also said Amaru. I think that Koho did put up a good fight, but I really liked Amaru's argument about how, he's a comedic actor, and this performance really showcases all of that talent, and I thought that was a really excellent argument compared to what Koho was putting down. So yeah.
All right, well, that means your winner is Amaru Moses. Moving on to the finals of the tournament, we are going to start by talking to Mr. Koho. Koho, great fight. A lot of them were very close. How are you feeling?
I thought it's the same thing where it's like I think I won the ones I lost. I thought I lost the ones I won. The one I won, I thought I lost the Coen Brothers fight. I thought I won the other three. But you say things and the judges hear something different from everyone else, and that's how debate goes. I've been on both sides of it. It works and it doesn't work, and it sucks when it happens. But Yeah, Cody's right. The Megamind one's gonna bug the fuck out of me. Because I swear to God, I heard Amaru say put new monsters in it. Like 3 times. I swear I heard him say recast the monsters, and I was so like, what the fuck? You're giving me a silver bullet, and I used it, and I didn't realize no one else picked up on that. But yeah, it's all good. It was a fun fight. Amaru did a good job, and he's gonna do really well in the finals. He's a hell of a fighter. So
to be fair, I think he said put new monsters in with the old ones.
I heard that one, but I heard a different part of the fight where he brought up
okay.
new, which is fine.
Anyway, well, yeah, you still played really great in the tournament overall, and tonight, obviously, we're probably going to see you again. There's some people debuting soon. Is there anybody that you want to play from like a new crop, or anybody that has been around that you haven't played yet? What are you thinking?
I want to put I want to press the big red button on our friendship and fight Kaleb Boatman. I think Kaleb Boatman and me fighting would probably end our friendship, but I would really love to fight Kaleb Boatman. He's a great fighter. I think that'd be a whole lot of fun. Him or Bar, honestly, both of them are people that I would love to just debate. But I'm pretty sure they'd hate me afterwards. So
3-2 and 5-4. I think we could maybe make it happen. So Koho, great job tonight. We'll see you very soon. We're going to move over to Amaru, making it to the finals. You're going to play the winner of Kirk and Nick. How are you feeling? You've already played Nick. That was your debut match in this league. How are you feeling about tonight? And how are you feeling about the finals?
That was fun. That was so much fun. I legit would have accepted any winner in any round. Every single one of them was like, I could see how people can go with me. I could see how people can go with Koho. I'm glad we got to the 4th one. I am very happy I got to talk about Money Talks. I am so glad I got Chris Tucker in here. That made my heart sing. And it was great. It was fun. Koho did his thing. And I can't wait to play either of the gentlemen in front of me. Very honestly, I want Kirk. I played TWOHIG already. I'd like to, and I know what I got up against him. I know, but don't know what Kirk would bring. So I would love to have a new challenger. Also Club Dread, but still, either of them would be great. So
that's fair. Well, we're gonna see that finals match in a couple weeks here. So great job tonight. I'm looking forward to the finals and seeing what you do. So, all right. Final thoughts from Maggie.
Yeah, it was really close. I agree that a lot of the questions really could have gone either way, and there's just some things that sort of tipped it one way or another for me. But overall, I really enjoyed it. Yeah, that's that. I'm excited to see Amaru versus either Kirk or Nick, but I do think that Amaru versus Kirk would be a great match.
Cody, final thoughts from you? You're muted.
Fair enough. Great match overall. I think this just shows Amaru's like first time in it. Amaru did debut in Fanzone, like when it originally was the first fan. Right, so it wasn't
in the debut tournament last year. Yeah,
it wasn't. So I mean, I think he's got his strategy figured out. I mean, now if he gets to the finals, it's completely reset basically, so he can pick what he wants. So like that stuff's going to be very interesting to see those battles, and I honestly don't think he'll make, if he plays Nick, I don't think he'll make the same mistakes he did against Nick that time. And if he plays Kirk, gosh, that match is going to be insane because those two at each other, because they're so technical fighters, like they don't really get frazzled. So it'd be really interesting to see that matchup. I'm okay with either one, honestly. If Nick, first order woo, but I'd be okay with Kirk versus Amaru.
Yeah. All right, well, that's going to do it for us today at Fanzone. Thank you to Kaleb. Thank you to Amaru and Maggie and Cody for judging with me today. We will be back next week with the Kirk versus Nick match, so be on the lookout for that, and then the finals afterwards. So, guys, thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.
Asshole! That's my bad. I was sending tweets.